Welcome to the episode of Jay Leno's Book Club. Remember, no self-help, no weight loss, just stuff that rolls, explodes, and makes noise. Now, you might remember Cris Simmons. Her last book was The American Motorcycle Girls, 1900 to 1950. Still the first female author we've had so far.
I know, I can't believe
program. So I know we got to get more women writing automotive books and things. Well, the last book was a big coffee table book, which could actually be used as a coffee table. It was that big.
Yeah, you could put legs on it. It was.
Oh, and had wonderful photography and was really a fantastic book. This one is called The American Motorcycle Girls Cannonball Diary. Now, Cris, you did the Cannonball Run.
Right. In 2010, there was a pre-1916 ride, cross-country endurance ride, from Kitty Hawk, North Carolina to Santa Monica.
Now, for those of you that are not familiar with the name Cannonball Baker, he was not so much a racer as an endurance guy. Automobile companies, motorcycle companies, people would hire him to see if he could be the fastest guy in their product across the country and back. And this is when there were no paved roads, just nothing, and he could be in the saddle 17, 18, 19 hours a day just going over dirt roads, and that's where the whole Cannonball thing came from. And then back, they did a movie, Cannonball Run, and then of course Dan Gurney set the record back in, I think, 1971, 3 days, what was it, New York to San Francisco. And I remember he told the police at no point did he ever exceed 175 miles an hour. So I always thought that was kind of cool. So to kind of keep the speed down, you guys did it on all pre-1915 motorcycles.
Yeah,
correct?
there was no speed involved.
No speed.
And if there was, you were scared because you couldn't stop.
And what bike did you ride on?
I rode the 15 Harley 3-speed twin.
Okay.
Which was kind of the bike of the ride. There were probably, out of the 45 bikes that left Kitty Hawk, I think maybe a third of them were the 15 Harleys.
You know, it's amazing how good those early bikes are and how dependable they are. I've got a couple of, I've got an 18 Pope and a few Harleys from the 20s, and I'm amazed at how you can just, big magnetos, spark, gas, boom, you kick them, and they go. And they're pretty quick. You can go 50, 60 miles an hour on them.
Yeah, my motor was stock. Some of the guys had punched out their motors a little bit, and some of them were going a lot faster, and I was kind of frustrated because I couldn't understand why I can't keep up. Well, because you have a stock motor. Well, why do I have a stock motor? No one else has a stock motor. But
and this is a diary of the trip, correct?
Yeah, it's actually a diary from the day one when I decided to do this ride. I signed on, not really knowing what I signed on for. I love old bikes, but I didn't really have any experience. I had like 60 miles riding a foot clutch when I left Kitty Hawk. I was like, talk about a deer in the headlights.
How many bikes went on this?
45 left, 38 finished under their own power. I was the only American woman. There was one other lady from Germany riding an 07 JAP.
07?
250cc.
Wow.
It was the oldest bike on the ride.
Yeah.
And, she
now,
did well.
Obviously, you stayed off the freeways, correct?
We did stay off the freeways, but there was one day in New Mexico when our route was washed out from a big giant rainstorm. And so we rode in the rain. They said, well, you have to get on Highway 40 or you could put your bike in the truck. But no, I was already wet, so I just rode. But we had to merge at 70-mile-an-hour truck traffic doing 40 in pouring rain.
And when you have pre-1920 motorcycles, obviously roads were not paved. And they could go fast enough, but not for long periods of time because you physically couldn't stay on the bike because of road conditions. So you'd go 15 miles an hour or 40, 10, so constantly varying your speed. I can't imagine how some of these early bikes, that constant, even holding 45 miles an hour.
It was tough because it was really hot. We took this southern route, through Alabama, Mississippi, and oh my God, it was like in the 90s with really humid, and you have to stop I got like maybe 50 miles to a tank. Right. And you stop. And every time you stop, it's just oil everywhere, the total loss system, and all the gas station guys are coming out, putting their kitty litter down,
So it's not really a race, is it?
It's more of a race for yourself, endurance. I didn't really know what endurance meant until I did this because I was exhausted. I mean, I was like,
you all leave at the same time, correct?
They staggered us according to class. Okay. Single cylinder, left earlier. We left like 8 or 9. I would have left like at 6 because if it was me, but because of the heat.
Were you with the same group, the same like 7 or 8 riders?
I was kind of by myself a lot. The first 2 days. And then the third day I hooked up with a guy in an Indian, Jim Petty out of South Carolina, and we rode together we just ended up together riding, which was great because we had these roll charts on our handlebars because we didn't know the directions. They don't tell you the
Okay,
directions
and you can't
to
use
get this
GPS
truck.
or anything.
Oh no, you couldn't have
No.
done it anyway. We're too busy doing all this stuff.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah,
Like I
right,
can't
right.
imagine working one more little thing.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, yeah. I mean, was there any point where you were out there just totally by yourself? You couldn't even see any other bikes around?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
The first day.
Okay.
The first day we pulled out of Kitty Hawk, we left, and I thought, well, I'll learn how to use this chart later. I'll just follow everybody else, and I'll be fine. We pulled
Yeah.
out, and everybody's gone, and I couldn't keep up, and I was lost immediately. And
Yeah.
I pulled over. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? My bike's fouled plugs because I only had like 400 miles on the motor.
Right,
It wasn't
right.
broken yet. The rings weren't seated, right?
Right.
So I got lost, and then like the first day, the second gas stop, some lady runs my foot over in the gas station. You know, so I'm like in my kicker leg. So like
Right,
60
right.
days, I have a bruised leg, you know, and I'm
Wow.
like trying to keep it together. Oh, I can do this, you know. I talked to
Now,
Patty. It's
were
like,
you guys camping or were you doing hotels?
we did hotels, thank
Okay.
God we did that, because
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I can't imagine that. But, you know, ride all day and then wrench, the whole mantra of the Cannonball was ride, wrench,
Yeah.
repeat.
Well, I
That's all
can't
we did.
imagine crossing Texas. I know what a nightmare Texas is to cross in a car. It just get monotonous. So,
Windy and
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it does
dry,
seem-
and my
Now,
nose
why
was-
go in the summer? Why not go like in the spring when it's a little cooler? I mean, why go in the dead of
Believe
the
me,
heat?
all these questions are going through my head.
Yeah,
When I'm
yeah.
driving on this thing every day, thinking, why do they do this? Why do they do that? You know, the road, you know, the route was pretty cool. We were at a lot of little towns. It was really a great way to see the country through little cotton fields, but you really couldn't take your eyes off the road because you know those bikes, Jay. There's no suspension. So
Right,
you're on
right.
Route 66 and you're like, oh, you know, you
Yeah.
couldn't take your eyes off the road.
But were there planned meal stops or?
They had lunch stops, like various
Right.
Harley shops. But it
Right.
was like, you know, pulled pork and like a, you know, maybe you get a sloppy Joe. I lost 10 pounds. It was the Cannonball diet.
Yeah, yeah.
I call it because I really didn't have time to eat, but I had a hydration pack I rode with, so I
Right.
drank a lot of water.
And how many days did it take?
16.
We did it in 16 days.
16. They were pretty long days. We did an average maybe 250 a day, some 300 days, depending.
Wow.
You know, you think it was as a race, but everybody just helped everybody else. Like the parking lots at night at the hotels were like, people were pulling out home motors, rebuilding stuff. They had
Right.
machine shop, they had, you know, lathes in their vans, you know, and
Sure.
rebuilding, and everybody helped everybody. A guy loaned a magneto to somebody else loaned me a push rod. You know, I broke a rocker arm.
Right.
That's the only thing that I really broke on my bike was
Well,
that
that's
one
another
rocker
thing.
arm.
You're riding, you know, at 45 miles an hour, 100-year-old metal, and it just wears out. And anybody get
Yeah.
injured on the trip?
It's really weird. All these, you know, older farts like our age or whatever, older, you know. And the one that gets hurt is the 25-year-old.
Yeah.
You know, he's riding a Sears and he hit a bump over the handlebars, got
Wow.
a broken arm. And
Ouch.
yeah, he was okay. He's riding on the next one now. He's gonna be on
There's
the
some
15th.
wonderful, obviously wonderful pictures. I mean, it's just a great diary of a great ride. And if you've heard about the Cannonball, you want to know more about it, you can pick up the book. Where do people get this book?
You can get it on my website,
Okay.
www.cannonballdiary.com.
And it's a really high quality book. I mean, a lot of times when you see small, limited edition books, they're kind of chintzy looking in the paper and it's black and white. I mean, Motorcycle Girls is a great book.
Oh, thank
And
you.
it had just great period ads, and it's kind of fun to see the camaraderie you have in motorcycles. You didn't run into much sexism, did you guys? What's a girl doing on
Well,
this
you know,
trip?
it's funny. I had an all-girl crew, except for my husband came in day 4. But
Mm-hmm.
I had a girl mechanic and a girl crew chief, Laura Clock, who's a land speed
Right,
wrecker,
right.
and Chicky Athena Ransom, who's a custom bike builder, who were my crew. So they were helping all the guys too.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it wasn't like, you know.
No, that's great.
But they
I mean,
loved us. Oh yeah, of course they loved us. The girls are picking me up today, you know.
Yeah, well, that's
Big
great. I
time.
mean, it's great to see that bikers are not always the stereotypes people think they are, and it's wonderful to see this kind of camaraderie. And it's a real diary. It's what they did every day on the 16 days. It's called the American Motorcycle Girls Cannonball Diary. Cris, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Jay.
Cool.
Thanks.